So, at times, life can be really challenging, and it can be easy to think that when certain things transpire, especially conflicts with other people, illness and sickness, and other things like that, it can be easy to think that we're a victim to the experience itself. But the truth is that no matter what the experience is, either positive or negative, we are the source of the experience. Meaning, our entire reality is just us pushed out, and then it's reflecting itself back to us. And there's a reason, there is a higher reason why this actually is. So when you take a look at what the source energy is, I like to look at the source energy as being kind of like this neutral force or this neutral ocean of energy that is just the absolute. It is infinite, and within it is the totality of everything you can possibly imagine. But this source energy, even though it's everything and it's infinite, it is not necessarily able to experience itself without externalizing itself, if that makes sense. Meaning, it has to create different life forms in which it animates with life, and by doing so, it is experiencing itself through all of the unique realities that come from that state of neutrality, that ocean of, we could say, pure energy. So we experience ourselves in the same way because we are the source energy. We are both the creator and the created at the same time because everything operates in paradox like this. The positive has the negative has the positive. Within separation is wholeness, and wholeness needs to experience itself through separation. Or maybe I should say, everything to our awareness can seem very paradoxical, but everything is one energy, everything is one thing at its absolute core. And that one energy or that one thing to experience itself needs to project itself in a wide variety of different forms. So a star, a solar system, a galaxy, a universe, the multiverse, different planets, the sun, different alien life forms, human beings, a germ, a bird, anything you can imagine that is in existence, anything that is creation is the source energy experiencing itself in, an individualized way or as a so-called individualized unit. Even though that individualized unit is all things and everything within that individualized unit, if that makes sense. So, as human beings, us being connected to and us being this source energy consciousness, we experience ourselves through everything that is happening to us. And it's not actually happening to us, it's happening from us, we can say. Everything is us pushed out, and everything starts within before we experience its externalized manifestation in the physical plane. So we experience ourselves through people, through relationships, through locations, and just anything that is a part of your life experience is just you pushed out and you on a higher level running a simulation of your energetic makeup to get to know yourself. And there's nothing that can take place within your reality that you are not the creator of. You are the source of your entire reality. This means the abusive relationship. This means, a disease or an illness if you've ever had one. This means the trauma that you've been through. This actually even predates your incarnation now, meaning on a soul level, you even created the reality of the family and the parents that you have. So this stuff gets very, very deep, and it's always by a higher design. Even when we're talking about going through early childhood trauma and even some of the worst forms of abuse that you can possibly imagine going through, if you experienced it, you did choose to experience that abuse, or you did choose to experience that trauma. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you've been experiencing abuse in relationships over and over again. And the trauma you go through in those relationships is just a replay of early childhood trauma where maybe your parents abused you. And now because that energy was inside of you, it kept recreating experiences where you went through abuse that made you feel the same way or in a similar way as to how you felt when you went through the trauma with your family in your early childhood. Even if you went through that trauma originally as a child and you couldn't really consciously make decisions, or you didn't necessarily consciously choose it. Let's say you were really, really young when it happened. On a soul level, before you even incarnated, you knew that you were going to experience that trauma, or the overarching theme of that trauma and everything that comes with being a part of that family. You knew this before you even came here, but you chose to experience it because it's actually something that you desired to experience, to grow and to evolve on a soul level. Now, from the human 3D perspective, that might be really hard to understand and really hard to accept. But when we zoom out of the human lens of right and wrong, and we start operating from more so of a higher self energy, we begin to intuitively understand why we choose to go through, at times, some very difficult experiences that can even make us feel like we're a victim to the experience and that we didn't deserve for those things to happen. Now, it's not that you deserved it. It's not that you're a bad person and because of that, you needed to go through that trauma or that abuse. But to the source energy that is more so neutral, it is willing to experience these things to evolve itself. And remember, you're the source energy. So this means you're willing to experience these things to, further walk a path of deeper remembrance and deeper, we can say, soul evolution and soul growth. All right, I'm going to take you way back, right, to the origins of your creation. You are a higher self, and your higher self, or you, choose to create your own soul. And your soul has many, many different human life experiences that take place in connection to it. Now, imagine a gym where you're going through a very intense workout. Your higher self wants to go through this intense workout to expand its body of sentience in the same way that doing an intense workout is going to expand our physical body, strength-wise, endurance-wise, and muscle-wise. So because your higher self wants to have this evolutionary experience, it projects a piece of itself in the form of a soul into this human experience, which can be very challenging. And it also chooses these different themes for itself to experience. And it does not view these themes as being right or as being wrong. It's actually the human awareness that's made up different belief systems that will look at things in a very black or white way. But the truth is, this can actually be very damaging, and it can further separate a person who's already kind of separated, most likely, if they're the average human person, can further separate a person from that deeper knowing and that deeper connection to the higher self that they can actually learn to integrate into their body and through their nervous system to live their life as if they understood that the catalyst, so the abuse and things like that, whatever it is that you're viewing as a catalyst, if they understood that the catalyst was actually strategically placed there by them on a level that is just unconscious or subconscious to them, to help them go through a remembrance that they are this higher self, choosing these different themes in which they are going to explore with their free will. You are truly the source of everything that has ever happened to you, whether it's positive or more so on the negative side of things. And the negatives are self-designed catalysts that you created to help you go through a deeper remembrance that you are this higher self energy running a simulation that you're exploring with your free will to give yourself an evolutionary experience and to give yourself this intense workout at the earthly gym. You know, because on Earth, there's a lot of very difficult things that happen here. There's a lot of catalyst, there's a lot of conflict. The people that are oftentimes in control of the planetary matrix could be very psychopathic and sociopathic and narcissistic and wanting to control others. But all of this is absolutely by a higher design. You don't get the big muscles at the gym, right? You don't get in shape and have a high level of endurance and physical strength by lifting little baby weights. You might start that way, but over time you're increasing your capacity to lift weights and you're lifting heavier and heavier weights. And you're, tearing your muscles. Your muscles don't grow unless they're being torn. So we can look at the human experience as being very similar. This is the difficult workout, and this is where we experience a lot of difficult experiences, but the same way that we're providing tension to the muscle to grow the muscle is the same way we are experiencing this highly beneficial evolutionary tension on planet Earth. So you are not a victim to anything you have ever experienced. And if you're going through a hard time right now, or maybe you've been through significant abuse or significant trauma, I want you to understand this. And I really do hope that this initiates a remembrance within your being so you can remember who and what you truly are. And when you start to walk the path of being more in alignment with that higher self energy, the nature of the catalysts that you experience absolutely changes. Not only do you start to we could say dissolve some of the pre-existing patterns in your being that are creating certain physical life experiences that you kind of deem to be undesirable. But when you do create a catalyst further down the line, you know that it is something that you absolutely need to go through. And instead of looking at it like something that you want to avoid or you don't want to go through, even if it's hard, you're willing to go through that catalyst the same way a bodybuilder would be willing to do a difficult workout at the gym, even if they know it's going to kind of suck and it's going to really put a strain on them and it's really going to be a challenge. You're going to look at it as a healthy challenge. And this is what it means to be more in resonance with that higher self energy, because that is how the higher self views all of experience, more so from a neutral space. It's not looking at it as this is overly good, and it's not looking at it as this is overly bad. It is simply willing to experience all possibilities, which is why you have many different incarnations that are actually unfolding right now in the present moment. And they're all connected to a projection of your higher self that we call a soul. So nothing is ever happening to you. It's happening from you and it's happening for you.